Hi there, and welcome back to Teacher to Teacher. For the past 4 weeks, we've been meeting every Tuesday and Thursday to discuss different aspects of learning and teaching online. If you missed any of the episodes, you can watch them on the Macmillan website, and you can also download the handout corresponding to each of the episodes. In any case, today is the last episode, and we'll be talking about helping students to revise. Revision is a key component of learning because it guarantees that the new information is stored in the long-term memory instead of simply forgotten. So periodically revising with students gets them to keep their minds active and to actually incorporate what they're learning. I'm sure you already used to do a lot of revision in your face-to-face lessons, but how can you do that online? Well, in this episode, I'm going to share with you one very popular game that my students love to revise vocabulary and 3 tools that help them to consolidate their learning. Okay, so the game I wanted to show you is called Reverse Taboo, and it's one that my students absolutely loved playing when they were at school. I'm sure you've heard of the game Taboo, where you need to define a word, but without using a number of words related to it. But have you tried doing that in a language that you don't speak very well? I have, and I can tell you it's certainly very difficult. That's why I prefer the alternative version called Reverse Taboo, which a colleague showed me long ago, and in which students also have to define a word, but using all the words on their word card, basically to make it easier for them to define it. So how can you play Reverse Taboo online? Well, it's really easy. You pick a student and you send him or her a private message with the word to be defined and the number of words you want him or her to use in the definition. The rest of the students have to listen and guess the word, and the first person to guess gets a point. If you wanted to make it more competitive, you could also set a timer so the students have a limited amount of time to make their guesses. All in all, Reverse Taboo is a lot of fun, and I can tell you students absolutely love playing it. It really helps them to revise vocabulary, but in a fun way. Plus, it gets everyone to actively listen, to get their answers right, and get the point. Okay, so the second idea to get your students to revise that I wanted to share with you is a tool that you're most likely already familiar with, which is called Kahoot. Kahoot is a great tool for revision to get students to consolidate their learning while having fun, because it's in human nature to be competitive. We all like playing against each other to see who gets the answer right first, and that's what makes Kahoot a great tool for revision. You probably were using Kahoot in your face-to-face lessons before, and you're probably using it right now, but have you set up any Kahoot challenges for your students? Challenges are great as practice because students can take them as many times as they want within the time frame you established, say for example, a week. They just need to type in a different nickname every time, or as my students do, a nickname, the same nickname and a number. For example, the first time I take a quiz, I would call myself Usoa 1. The second time I'd go for Usoa 2. And so challenges are great because students, as I said, can take them as many times as they want, and they can work in their own time, at their own pace, and compete not only against each other, but also against themselves. When the challenge ends, so at the end of the week, for example, you get a scoreboard with the results of all the people who've taken part. And that's also very motivating for students to see who won, in a way. Also, another great activity to do with Kahoot is to get your students to create their own Kahoots. They can send you their questions with the 4 possible answers for you to have a read through and check for any mistakes they might have made, and then off they go to create their own Kahoot. A Kahoot that my SO3 students especially like creating was one related to the book about New Zealand that they're reading. Each group of students was assigned a specific chapter, and they felt very responsible about their chapter, like they were the experts of the chapter, and they were testing everyone to see if they had understood what they had read. So that was cool. Of course, you can set up your students' Kahoots as a challenge, like I mentioned before, but you can also play them live online. Have you ever tried playing Kahoot live online? I've done it, and it's definitely a lot of fun. Not only with students, I've done it with my family as well. Bringing in fun into the classroom is no doubt a way of motivating students to want to learn more and to take off that pressure. So it's definitely a win-win. Apart from that, if you sign in for the premium version of Kahoot, which is now free due to COVID-19, you can also add polls to your Kahoot. Just like we saw with Mentimeter last week, but all in the same place. So you could have your questions and your poll all in the same link, which is actually very convenient. And finally, apart from adding polls, you could also add slides to your Kahoot, a bit like PowerPoint. And you could also use different types of questions apart from multiple choice. Because did you know that you can have open-ended questions or word clouds or also puzzle questions where students need to put the 4 answers in order. So that adds a bit of variety to the format of Kahoot that we're already used to. All in all, I think Kahoot has great potential as a revision tool and to add more fun to your online lessons. So if you need a bit more help, I've left a link to a tutorial in the handout where you can watch a video to make the most out of Kahoot. So I hope you find that useful. Okay, so the third idea I wanted to share with you to help students revise vocabulary is Quizlet, which allows you to create online flashcards and generate really cool activities with those in no time. You just need to input the word list or the words and definitions that you would like your students to work with, and the games are automatically generated for you. Plus, you can import the word list or the words from a Word file, which makes that even easier. I've actually been using Quizlet for a long time, and my students really loved it. When we were back at school, in every unit, they would always ask, "Is there a Quizlet for this vocabulary?" That was always a recurring question. And back at school, students use Quizlet very often. Some of them even had the Quizlet app on their phones. Some of them like printing out the cards on paper and studying them from the actual physical flashcards, while others said that randomized tests is what they found the most useful because they could take them again and again. So, I mean, there's a wide variety of activities you can do with Quizlet, which caters for different types of students' needs. In any case, working with Quizlet is really easy. You just need to sign up for a free teacher account, create a new vocabulary set, and then type in the words and definitions you would like your students to work with. You can also add an image or just have the word and the image as you prefer. And you could also add the translation of the words into the students' mother tongues, which I think would be especially useful for lower levels. Once you've created the new word set, you're ready to go, and your students can use the word sets to start revising, as I said, in a variety of ways. First of all, they can look at the flashcards one by one to get familiarized with them. And once they've done that, they can start playing different activities. The first one is called Write, where the students need to actually write the word corresponding to the definition or the word they're given. Another cool game that you can play on Quizlet is called Spell, where students need to listen to the word and write it out correctly. And my students like this one especially because of the robot voices that read out the words. They're actually a lot of fun. Okay, so another activity that students can do on Quizlet is called Match. And in Match, students race against the clock to make the words from the word list disappear. How? Well, by matching the word to the corresponding definition or the corresponding image as quickly as possible. And the cool thing about this game is that students can play as many times as they want and try to beat each other's score or even their own score. And I must admit, I've played quite a few times myself, and it's very addictive. But personally, the star game in Quizlet, in my opinion, is Gravity. In Gravity, you have words falling from meteorites that are about to collide against the Earth. And the only way for you to prevent that from happening is by typing in the word corresponding to the definition or the image you see as fast as you can. When we used to play this game in class, it was madness. But I think right now, even if students are on their own, they can still play from home and still have a lot of fun. So apart from all of these games that you can play on Quizlet, sharing Quizlet sets is really easy. You can post the link on Google Classroom or share the link to each of the Quizlet sets directly with your students so they can access the set just by clicking on it. Also, you can create classrooms within the Quizlet page so you can monitor students' progress from that page directly. All in all, I think Quizlet is a really versatile tool that will definitely help our students to revise while having fun. And in the handout, I've included a couple of tutorials so you can take a look, no matter if you're new to Quizlet or already an advanced user. Try it out and see it for yourself. So last but not least, I wanted to share with you a tool that I learned about in a webinar by Raquel, who's a primary English teacher in Madrid, who you'll find on Instagram as La Profe Raquel. The website is called Educandy, and it's definitely really sweet. It's really easy to use because after you create your free account, you just need to input the list of words that you would like your students to revise. And when you click on Create, the games are automatically generated for you. And again, feels like magic. You can choose from 3 different sets of games. The first category is called Word Games, and it allows you to create word searches, hangmans, and also anagrams, just by inputting the list of words you would like your students to work on. Apart from that, the second category is called Matching Pairs, and it helps you to create knots and crosses, crosswords, memory, and matching activities, just by typing in questions and answers. And finally, you also have a quiz option, which generates multiple choice online quizzes. But the coolest thing about Educandy is that students don't need to download any apps or install any software to be able to play. Once you've created the activities, you click on Share, and you'll get a link where the students can access the games directly. So all in all, Educandy is a really sweet tool to get our students to revise and learn in a playful way. Well, so as I said in the beginning of the episode, today is the last one. And I wanted to share with you the feedback you provided us with in last Tuesday's episode, which was actually about feedback. Overall, the poll results show that you found the session useful, easy to follow, and relevant to your teaching situation. Because on average, you gave a 4.6 out of 5, which is a bit more than a pass, right? Over 30 of you who joined us for the feedback session last Tuesday did the Menti poll. So if you're watching right now, thank you so much for taking part. I'm really happy that you enjoyed the episodes, and I feel honored to have been able to contribute to turning these difficult times into an opportunity for all of us teachers to bond and learn from each other. So thank you for being with us for the past 4 weeks. I hope you've taken away some ideas to try out with your students. And if you want to watch any of the previous episodes again, you can do so on the Macmillan website, where you'll also find the handout with all the references I mention in each of the episodes. So that's all for me now, but you can still find me on Twitter if you'd like to continue to exchange some teaching tips. All right, so take care. Bye.